The concept of the Deus Absconditus or hidden God is central to Carl Jung's psychology of religion. Jung repurposes this theological idea to explore the nature of the divine as it manifests within the human unconscious. So rather than imagining God as a wholly external being, Jung sees the divine as a deep internal presence, a force embedded within the psyche, inaccessible to ordinary consciousness, but active nonetheless. In traditional Christian theology, Deus Absconditus refers to the mystery of God's inaccessibility or hiddenness, especially in the face of human suffering or doubt. For Jung, however, this hiddenness is not an absence, but a different kind of presence. That is, God is not gone, but concealed in the unconscious aspects of the self. The divine, in this view, emerges from the shadowy recesses of the psyche, not from outside intervention. Thus, spiritual growth, healing, and even salvation begin not by reaching toward heaven, but by looking inward, deep into the soul. Jung observed that human beings are naturally religious creatures, and that across cultures and time, the divine has appeared in countless symbolic forms: dreams, myths, rituals, and art. These expressions, he argued, arise from archetypes in the collective unconscious. Now, one of the most powerful of these archetypes is the God image. This archetype doesn't necessarily equate to the metaphysical existence of God, but rather to an innate psychological reality. That is, the human tendency to experience the sacred, the numinous, the ultimate. In this sense, Deus Absconditus refers to the divine potential buried in each individual, waiting to be recognized and integrated. Jung maintained that ignoring or repressing this inner divinity is dangerous. The divine, when ignored, does not vanish, it becomes distorted. What was once sacred might manifest as obsession, ideology, or fanaticism. He warned that if the religious instinct is not consciously expressed, it finds unconscious outlets, often in destructive ways. In modern times, political movements or mass ideologies can function as substitutes for religion, giving people a sense of purpose or identity, but often at the cost of individuality and psychological balance. Therefore, Jung's vision of Deus Absconditus carries a challenge. The ego must engage in dialogue with the unconscious. He calls this process individuation, a journey in which one integrates previously unconscious parts of the self, including the shadow and the God image. This process is not comfortable. It often involves crisis, conflict, and transformation. Jung likened it to the ancient symbols of death and resurrection. The old self must die so that a new, more whole self can emerge. In his book The Psyche as Sacrament, John P. Durley elaborates on this idea by placing Jung in conversation with theologian Paul Tillich. Durley notes that Jung's Deus Absconditus is not merely a passive presence, but a dynamic force that seeks to balance and to expand the ego, a divine invitation to growth, which the ego refuses only with great danger to itself. The divine in the unconscious is not silent. It is always pressing toward consciousness, always seeking incarnation through human awareness. And though it may appear wrathful or chaotic, like the God of the Book of Job, its ultimate aim is the wholeness of the individual. This vision reimagines traditional ideas of revelation. Instead of a supernatural message imposed from above, revelation is seen as something arising from within. The sacred for Jung is not something foreign to the human condition, but an essential part of it. This challenges many religious doctrines that draw a sharp line between humanity and divinity. In Jung's view, that division is artificial and damaging. The divine is not out there, but in here. And to heal ourselves and our world, we must acknowledge and live out that truth. So the Deus Absconditus for Jung is not a remote and unknowable God, but the hidden potential of the divine within each person. It is the sacred force that drives growth, transformation, and the search for meaning. And to find God, we must be willing to descend not into heaven, but into the depths of our own soul.